your manager puts a meeting on your calendar that's very unusual, that, it's a one-on-one, dun, dun, dun. And he, was just like, Joan, we don't have the money to pay you anymore. It is wild to me. LinkedIn did this research in 2020 when a ton of people lost their jobs with COVID. 70% of people landed their next job based on an introduction.
If it was you started again upskilling yourself with AI, what would be your first action right now to go and do?
Try something out. Like I saw this wild Pew Research study that 60 to 70% of Americans have heard of ChatGPT. 14 to 22% have actually tried it. Keep your day job for the moment, but think about passions you have that you could monetize on the side. And if needed, potentially scale up. The number of dads who are pinging me being like, I am preparing my ideas for my kids.
Welcome. This is an Hour of Innovation podcast, and I'm your host, Vit Lyoshin. Dr. Joan Palmiter Bajorek joins me today to discuss how to future-proof your career and income in the age of AI. We will explore the 22 income streams she outlines in her book called Your AI Roadmap. And we also talk about her powerful story of resilience after a layoff. Welcome, Joan. Thank you for joining me today.
Hello, delighted to be here.
Yeah, great to have you. So why don't we start with what inspired you to write your book?
Yes, well, the book is a companion to my podcast. But as you mentioned about my story, I've been, here in Seattle, it's more and more common, but I've been in 2 large-scale layoffs, even though I build data and AI infrastructure. There's some irony there. But my career has continued, and I've kept building my wealth, and people keep saying, how did you do it? Or my DMs are full of excuse me, I want what's going on with you? What's going on behind the scenes? And so this book is an answer to a lot of that. Really modern careers, what's worked for me, a lot of data. I did a ton of research. I was like, wow, it pans out for other people as well. We can talk about that. But also the second part is modern wealth building. As you mentioned, my 22 income streams, passive, active, diversified portfolio. I don't know about you, but I didn't get a financial education from my parents who were trying their best, nor my private school or public school. And I have a PhD, so I went to school for a lot of years. So I feel like this is a gift back to my younger self and other people who may be like, yeah, I need to be resilient in this age of AI. I also am worried about my career. I'm also worried about my money. This is a really direct and warm approach to answering those questions.
Okay, that's great. I think many of these questions come up to people's heads after such an event like layoff, right? Yeah. Or with age, when they go through certain experiences and they realize oh, I need more diversified income portfolios or things like you said, nobody teaches that stuff in the school. That's kind of crazy a little bit.
Yeah, so, my conspiracy, not conspiracy, is that we actually in the United States choose not to teach people finances to keep us as menial workers for those who do have that education. Maybe that's a sad way to say, but the more I learn about it, I'm like, what an employee is and how owners pay themselves in this capitalistic society seems like the game is rigged.
Yeah, I think it stretches throughout all countries, actually.
I would agree.
Yeah. So how do you define your reader then? Is it a specific group of people or more broadly to anybody?
Yeah, I would define it, well, anyone who's worried about layoffs, I think this would be an ideal person for them. And that I wrote this last year. You have to, it takes a long time to write a book. So when I was pitching it last year, I did not know about the government layoffs that were going to happen, right? There's some very timely things in March 2025 where we are right now. A student, someone who is pivoting in their career, maybe they just got laid off and they're like, do I really want to jump on the job market again? Or I want the job market to go faster. It's kind of those people at the crux of a transition point. But I've also, the number of dads who are pinging me being like, I am preparing my ideas for my kids. It's I'm at my daughter's math Olympiad, Joan, and I'm reading your book. And I'm going to prepare my family for this. So I think it's applicable to a lot of people. But honestly, I got a high schooler in my DMs the other day asking me should I even go to college? So yeah, most people, I think my ideal reader is like career stuff, money stuff. Like I need real
Yeah.
talk from someone who's actually done it. And
Yeah.
I'm ready to talk to them about it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good. That helps me also understand with what to ask you, because my audience may be very beneficial from all this, from the information from you. So that's good.
I hope so.
Yeah. So let's start with the future proof, what you call it, and what would be your steps or things that how you identify what is your future proof strategy, if you will, for your career.
Absolutely. Future proofing your career. Everyone wants to do it, right? Um, so future proofing the career, it's going to sound a little counterintuitive. I'm just going to like put it out there that most people are like, oh, I don't want to do these things, Joan. Like, don't make me. But based on my experiences across the last 10 years and a bunch of research, happy to cite more, for the first half of my book, personal branding, networking. Now, why would I say these things? When people are trying to find you for an opportunity, they're going to look online. That's where everyone goes. Our names are both quite unusual. So when people Google our names, they find us. What is that professional they see? What domain expertise? Like when they see you, they like a snap decision about whether you are qualified for this job. Do they want you on their team? Like we have this curated digital presence, right? And investing in your personal brand for me has paid dividends. Like I just got this really cool opportunity. Someone I met 3 years ago for half an hour. But when something came up, she remembered my name. She went online. She's like, oh, Joan is still doing that AI stuff. And she made the introduction for a huge opportunity for me. So easily findable. That's personal branding. And then as the example I just gave, your network. It is wild to me. LinkedIn did this research in 2020 when a ton of people lost their jobs with COVID. 70% of people landed their next job based on an introduction. So it's not this sneaky side way that Sanjay knows that someone you should meet, or this other person. I'm not going to mention her name online. But like, it's not the sneaky way. It's the main route. 70% of people. So instead of spamming your CV to 400 inboxes, who knows? Coffee chats, following up, going to those events in person, online, whatever. I literally recommend, I'm a very data-driven, like hit it hard, spreadsheet kind of person. Who are the people that work at your dream companies? What are the next events they're going to? Foster those relationships. I don't mean it in a sleazy way. Truly build relationships with cool people. That's what I recommend. So this like flywheel of who you are, getting feedback, going to those events, participating, being active. I believe this is the modern flywheel of how to future-proof your career is a very people-based approach, even for someone like me who's very technical and AI-driven, right? It's the humans that help you actually land the job. And as an entrepreneur, same thing. Contracts are two people who want to close deals together, period.
Right. Yeah, that's very, I think you're right. Yeah, I kind of agree with you that many people will think about like, oh my God, I have to do this now. I have to build my online presence and go to events and things like that. I don't want to do that. But that's like the only way to do it, right? I remember when I was, I got laid off before pandemic, so it was not related to any of that situation. But anyways, I spent a month hunting for jobs, and I got a job through the guy I used to work before. So, and I keep hearing all the stories, like bunch of people I know getting jobs through people they know who's already working, or maybe recruiter, maybe connections. So there is no way around it. And statistics just proves it with 70%. That's just amazing.
It was a wild number. I was not expecting it to be that high. But as you mentioned, if your previous coworker knows you're a hard worker, knows you're good at what you do, of course you're like, oh yeah, get him in here. let's work together again. Right? You can vouch for it. And that's that humanness of validation. So lean into it.
Yeah, and it takes little effort. Just send like happy birthday when you know their birthday or something like that. These little things help, and people just will remember you. So yeah, that's great. So you're talking about AI as well, and this is a new era for people, new skills. Some people scared about it. Some people say, oh, it will replace my job. Some people were optimistic about it. What's your take on it, and what do you advise to people how to go about AI?
Yeah. Ooh, top question of the day. When I think about from the employer experience, I know that a lot of employees are not interested in upskilling in AI, and some are. And the people who raise their hands and say, I want to learn that new tool, I want to be more efficient, those are the headcount that I believe will be kept in the future. So for the listener, whatever domain you're in, if you're in finances, if you're in HR, whatever, make sure that you're upskilling yourself in the tools
Mhm.
that make sense in your domain, is what I'd strongly recommend to folks. I think teams of the future will be smaller. I mean, the amount of code that can just be spit out, and you need maybe one person to do some debugging, but truly, I mean, investors are drooling over the concept of a 3-person team that has millions to billions in revenue at their company,
Mhm.
right? So really thinking about what used to work or the jobs that were relatively stable in the last 10 years. I think looking forward, we're going to see a very different shape of teams. And frankly, I don't think a lot of people are ready for that. I don't mean to be fear mongering. These are just the conversations I'm having with companies and different teams and people's careers shifting. So
Mhm.
that I think that triples down on that human part of that networking stuff, and also having your financial house in order at home if there is volatility at work.
Yeah. So, just follow up on the AI. Some people, what do you see? Some people make mistakes in AI. Are they like trying to code themselves or learn all these LLMs, or is it simple as like getting to know how to work with ChatGPT? What would you recommend to people to start with?
Mm. My favorite thing about AI right now is how accessible it is.
Hmm.
Like my instead of like fluffy material in 2050, blah blah blah, go to a workshop, try something out. Like the amount of I saw this wild Pew Research study that 60 to 70% of Americans have heard of ChatGPT. 14 to 22% have actually tried it.
Mm.
So we are probably in the echo chamber of people. I'm using it daily. Perplexity, ChatGPT, like it's integrated into my team's workflow. So if you are ideating, if you're like, ooh, here's how it actually like tangibly moves the needle for my team, that's the sweet spot. Like actually try out things. Oh, they say they can do this. They're actually not good at this. Different tools hyped
Hmm.
up. Try it. See what it works. Like there's nothing better than dog fooding or, like actually seeing if the product works. So get your hands dirty. You don't even have to code that much. If you don't code, it's super easy to find online. So figure out what's helpful and go try 5 tools in that domain.
Yeah, that's good. I also checked out in Coursera, they have a whole bunch of courses, and I think it's rather cheap to just sign up there and see what's out there and learn anything, any kind of industry, any kind of tool you can imagine. They already have a bunch of courses there, and it's just amazing how quickly everybody became professionals and experts and teach all these things. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's very interesting. Um, so, if it was you started again upskilling yourself with AI, what would be your first action right now to go and do?
First action. I would choose like a project that I wanted to devote maybe 3 to 6 months to. As we mentioned, like get your hands dirty, try something. But there's one
Hmm.
thing to like ideate for like a hackathon, for like a half day. There's another thing to
Hmm.
actually fully flesh it out.
Hmm.
And so I think that's, as mentioned, you don't need to go to university necessarily to spend wild amounts of money. If you can actually do it manually or yourself, you'll learn so much. You'll be able to talk to the pain points. Oh, then the GPUs got expensive. And then, like your ability to actually do the whole life cycle yourself is going to be invaluable to showing the world that you actually know what you're talking about, but also like the next opportunities when you talk to potential teams and you're like, here's some bugs that I had. Like, there's nothing like actually doing the work. And I strongly believe, even if setting aside just a few hours a week across 6 months, you could make some serious traction.
So let's talk about the 22 income streams and in general, like what's your favorite ones and if you can just name a few of them so audience can understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I think people, it's been a mic drop moment in my book. People are like, oh, I list them all 22. I'm not going to read them out for you right now, but they're in chapter 9. Go read them. I list them all out. Some of them are passive. Some of them are active. No one needs 22 income streams. I'll just say that out loud. I think 2 to 6 is legit. I think more than one. So many people I know have one income stream, their day job, and if they lose it, yikes. So thinking about different ways to bring in income. One of my favorites that I talk about, super low lift. Some people don't believe me, this is real, but a high yield savings account where my savings account, they pay me to leave my emergency fund with them. Literally, they pay me hundreds of dollars just to leave the money with them. It's amazing, super passive. I usually let it just compound over there, but I could take it out and buy sushi, every month if I wanted to. So the ability to be strategic with your money, know where it is, those, I use SoFi, for example. I just set up the account. They pay me money. I know my emergency fund is safe. Why isn't everybody doing this? I know people who still have tons of money just sitting in a debit account. Okay, listener, if that's you, I don't try to judge. But being strategic about what money you have, what goals it's serving, and where it's sitting. And is it serving that company? Or is it serving you? Or is it like a mutualistic relationship where I'm I know they're making this dollar sign. I'm making this dollar sign and, we're good to go. So I definitely for years of my life left money in a debit account. All the money left on the table. Oh, sad day. So a high yield savings account, strongly recommend HYSA if you want to do research. Dog sitting. I mean, we could talk about so many different income streams, but what I'd recommend overall to someone listening, keep your day job for the moment, but think about passions you have that you could monetize on the side. And if needed, potentially scale up. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think are some of the common mistakes or common traps that people have that they can't just do that for whatever reason? Is there any data or your research?
Oh gosh. I mean, I think the top, when I was publishing the book, my aunt, I got feedback from her and she's like, you're not actually going to publish this, right? You wouldn't say this publicly. And I was like, the taboo of money. We are so much more comfortable talking about romantic relationships and all kinds of other things than talking about money. Back to that education piece. So one of the biggest hurdles might be between your ears of the taboo and the shame of talking about money or being like, oh, I made this money mistake, or we're all learning, right? So I think just being open and curious to getting more education. There's still things I'm learning, honestly. But the ability to learn and grow and build wealth is a constant process as laws change, etc. So I would recommend common mistake, just start. A lot of people just don't invest and that leaves them often behind. So I have a chapter all about savings versus investing. One is good, one is great. And just kind of nuts and bolts foundational stuff that if you get that right for your portfolio overall, you can have fun, you can gamify whatever you want. But most of my assets are in stable, boring, get me wealthy type of assets, if that makes sense.
Yeah, when I educated myself in finances, the first thing I learned is to be disciplined, and it takes a lot of time. I think many people trying to get this, if I put my money somewhere, they should grow really fast, and I get it, and then I go on vacation. It doesn't happen like that. It takes years and years and years and decades to accumulate all this. And I think that one could be also part of educational process for people, and just tell them it's not going to happen overnight. You just have to be disciplined, just like with your diet or workout or being in a good shape and things like that. It's not going to happen right away, right? So you have to work hard on this and be really disciplined. And another thing is all these ideas of don't buy coffee outside, make it at your home, it will save you $2 a day. To some degree, I agree with that approach, because those little money will add up at the end of the months. But what I personally like to do also is I multiply everything by 12. like new subscription, I multiply by 12, it gives me an annual amount, and that number is bigger. And then it will make me think twice. Should I do it or should I not do it?
Yeah. No, I love
So,
that. Well, it's also a mindset thing. I know a lot of, like, an example, I agree with you. Like, I love the multiply by 12 idea. I think also, like, so many people are like, oh, if I'm just cheaper with coffee. And I'm like, like my friend recently, her rent is going up $200. This is common. Your rent grows. She's
yeah,
like, oh, I have to move. I don't really have the $200. And I was like, do you have to move? Or could you just make more money to cover
right.
the $200? Like this scarcity mindset of like, oh, I need to be small. I need to be like my budget. It's like she easily found a side hustle that makes her $800 a month.
Yeah.
Suddenly the rent is not a problem and she has more cash to invest or do other things. But I think that, I mean, it's no joke. There's the subtitle of my book is Actions to Expand Your Career, Money, and Joy. And I truly believe that expansion is a key component of this, because if you're so just if fear is in the driver's seat, who knows where you will be going. But really
Yeah.
thinking about stability, your goals, as you mentioned, stable, long-term, that expansion of your wealth and your career is where I'd recommend going.
Yeah. I'm actually curious also how many people go to their supervisor or boss or whoever it is and asking for a raise. Simple as that.
Oh, yeah.
Like every 12 months, I recommend every 12 months go and ask for raise. Even if it's little, it's still additional. It's still more than you had before, right? So why not do that?
Seriously, people are so scared to ask for a raise, negotiate, change jobs. I mean, every time I've switched jobs, huge base salary increase. So being strategic about your value on the job market. Today may not be the day to jump jobs. I'm just going to say that out loud. But being thoughtful about what value you bring to the company. Yeah, ask for a raise. I did mention that to her. It's like, can your company pay you more? And she's like, nope. It's like, okay, well, side hustle for you. Yeah.
Yeah. So if somebody's stuck at 9 to 5, they don't want to change. Maybe they love the job. It's convenient. It's close. Whatever the case is. You mentioned side hustles. What kind of strategies can they implement to make more money? Do you have any other ideas or recommendations there?
Totally. One of my favorite ones I recommend, other than the high yield savings account, super easy, super boring, super easy, is like pet care, dog sitting, for example. Here in Seattle, it gets very expensive to have an animal. And if you go away for a business trip or whatever, suddenly, I mean, I literally have to pay 50 to $100 a day for just one dog.
Wow.
So if you were able to find lots of I'm assuming you're going to treat the dog well, okay? Just anybody out here.
Yeah.
But if you get on a platform like Rover or otherwise, or you get different clients, you stack those clients up, $50 to $100 extra per day in the month. Talk about times 12. Like that's relatively low lift. If you like dogs, if this is an easy dog to take care of, etc., that you could potentially bring in more income. So I'm not talking rocket science, right? Like this, people are like, oh my gosh, entrepreneurship, side hustle. It can be a super low lift. It can be something bigger that you scale to something, a dog franchise. I don't know. But starting small, I think that's my favorite thing, is like just getting that first money. Like back in grad school, I did tutoring because I couldn't cover my grocery bills. Being a grad student is really hard. Just getting that first $40. It's like, wow, it's going to be so much. I can cover my grocery bill. It's going to be okay. Oh, what that feels like. That, that stability inside to have that money. So I recommend that for anybody. Just choose one thing. My book has 57 recommendations of super easy side hustles. It's not rocket science, but like the first time you get that extra money, how that might feel to you and your budget. And then you can extrapolate and, learn more till you get 22 income streams and beyond. But yeah, I think just starting small, start practical, take the action.
In general, for 22 income streams, if you're starting out, you don't have any savings available, you don't have side hustles, what would be your first step or recommendation for people to start with? Would it be somehow save more money, cut on expenses, start side hustle, or anything like that?
Okay. We're starting from zero. We're starting new to the game. I recommend, so I have a recipe in my book: know, grow, be in control. So if you truly have no savings, every month you have maxed everything out, it goes to zero. I think there's a no component about knowing your overall finances of the money in and money out that you might be missing. So I'd recommend, as you just mentioned, that multiply by 12, go through your credit card statements, debit card, whatever money's coming in and money's coming out. I'd literally recommend taking a highlighter and going through your bills, because you might be surprised that your Hulu account is still going on. Like, just knowing your fiscals month to month could be really eye-opening, because and I understand it, a lot of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Many are. If a listener is hearing this and like, that's me, I get you. Like, people here in Seattle, even who are making wild amounts of money, spend it all. Okay, so a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck. There's no shame in this. What I'm saying though is, if you start by knowing your own dollar signs, not your neighbor, your own dollar signs, and seeing that, and try to start saving and thinking about the goals you have and how you can take action to get there. That's kind of the no grow, which is my expansion. How can we bring in more money? Now that I know my fiscals, what's the next step? And then being in control of money in your own name, in your own bank account. I shockingly talk to people who have spouses and they're like, I don't know where my money is. Is my money in my own name? Or like, I have neighbors. I love my neighbors, but like they're citizens of different countries. And so some bank accounts are in domestic versus foreign and different people's names. And I was like, if something were to happen, it could be really bad. Know where your money is, and that it's in your own name, emergencies, etc. So just again, I'm not talking about rocket science, but like grow, be in control, know your fiscals, have a password manager. I'd strongly recommend. Like, it's kind of this digital hygiene that a lot of people need to do around their finances.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think getting organized and cleaning up books, if you will, would be a good first step. And then from there, I'm sure anybody who's doing just that can find a way to save at least $100 per month. At least. I'm sure there's some subscription or some bill they're overpaying or some credit card percentages or whatever it's called. Anyways, I think that's a great. I like your idea in the first step.
Thank you.
So let's talk about your layoff experience. It's not really pleasant experience, but can you please walk me through that experience and how it happened, if you can, maybe without specific details, but just in general.
Without crying. Yeah, I talk about my layoff so publicly these days. I'm trying to normalize that, and it's literally the first chapter of my book. I was working at a company and we were doing so well, right? They hired me. And then suddenly the company was not doing as well. I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with this. You're like, oh, but I wasn't. It was the first time I'd ever been let go. I was not prepared. And so it was one of those, your manager puts a meeting on your calendar that's very unusual, but it's a one-on-one, dun, dun, dun. And he, was just like, Joan, we don't have the money to pay you anymore. Like, it was just as simple as that. It wasn't my performance. It was just about the fiscals of the company. And sadly, on that day, 30% of employees were let go in one day. So although, I cried, it was very painful at the time. Was it that personal if it's 30% of the company? Anyway, you try to zoom out. And that was the first time that, I was just like, oh gosh, what do I do next? Like, okay, figuring it out. And it sounds like, or I don't know how people will take this. I literally closed my first $100,000 contract like 6 to 8 months after the day I was let go. So the ability to bring in my own money and close my own contracts was a light bulb moment for me, because I was like, I can make my own money. Like, I don't need a boss per se. I need relationships. I need a network. I need things to sell. But that was a very low point to lose my job and frankly not be ready. I did not know grow and be in control of my finances. I did not have 22 income streams. It was a very painful moment. But the learning from that, how I've grown since. I decided to take another job and sadly got laid off from there. But I was way better prepared for more ups and downs. And I wish that for anybody, that you're more stable in yourself, to be like, there might be some turbulence. Like, okay, let's do this. But yeah, the first time I got laid off, people wrote me recommendations, coworkers. I mean, we're all like messaging, who got laid off? Who didn't get laid off? All that jazz. So that was my experience. A lot of people with different experiences. I didn't get any severance. I didn't get any, there are different things that happen with every layoff, but that was my experience. Does that cover what you wanted to hear about?
Well, if that's what your experience was, then yes. But I know it's not very pleasant to learn that's it, job is gone. It's I try to be always optimistic, so it's good now you have all this free time and you can figure out what to do with it, right? You can study, you can search for a job, you can do whatever. It also depends how much money you have saved for that. And especially now in the last couple of years, what's been happening on the market, and now with government, it's a little bit messy what's going on. So a lot of people will, I think, resonate with this information. But it just have to be ready for this. Everybody have to be ready. Like I'm in the project management field, and I always say, hope for the best, plan for the worst. Because if you don't do that, then it will be really, really bad situation. So.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned something that's very important about that money set on the side, right? Plan for the worst. Many Americans do not have an emergency fund.
Yeah.
Period. And that's the money you set aside that I just mentioned about the high yield savings account. Like it used to be this rule that like 3 to 6 months of living expenses set aside for emergencies. These days, some of my friends have been on the job market 21 months.
Yeah.
No joke. So I recommend not going to debt. And if you can, set aside, 8 to 12 months living expenses just in case something happens. And it doesn't have to be a job loss. Like I recently, in the middle of winter here in Seattle, my water heater broke. Cold showers in the middle of winter, no fun. I had money set aside to pay for water heater to come in. I didn't want to spend that money necessarily, but when I want hot water, you pay the $2,000, you get the old one removed, you get the new one, you get the warranty, all that jazz. So I sleep better at night. Anyway, people may be starting just from like knowing their bills, but setting aside that emergency fund would be a high ticket item, a next action item to do if you don't yet have an emergency fund.
Yeah, that's true. It doesn't have to be a job. It could be something else. That's very true, especially if you own home or apartment or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So going through that experience, and then you mentioned a few months later, you got your first gig, I think, or whatever it is, the contract that you mentioned. What kind of experience was that you had to put yourself together and work toward getting something on your own without your boss and things like that? Can you talk about that experience? What did you learn from that? How did you motivate yourself to do that?
Yeah, well, the lucky thing for me is that I already had a side hustle at the time. I just wasn't monetizing it. I created a community in tech and I was really excited about it, but it was just like a side thing. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people have these like, oh yeah, I'm just doing this little side thing. I wasn't monetizing it. It was something that I just did for my community. And later on, I was lucky enough that I'd built something so valuable. A sponsor came to me and said, hey, we'd like to partner. Here are our goals. You have this organization, like let's work together. And so we like co-constructed a contract. And the dollar signs on that first one just happened to be $100,000. So, and honestly, my side hustle thrived more when I had more time for it because I didn't have a day job at the time, right? So, it was a really interesting, but not everyone, I think, has that side hustle to start with and to monetize. But I think everyone has passions that they love to do, and figuring out how to monetize it in a digital product, in-person tutoring, whatever it is. Scaling that up is something that, right, I'm saying prepare. Like have it on the side, be thinking about opportunities. So that was how I was able, a relationship-based thing, back to that networking. People knew me, sponsor reached out, we negotiated. It was just like that.
Yeah, going back to those recommendations of income streams and side hustles or just hobbies, right? You never know. Your hobby may be eventually like in the crisis situation like that, it will just click in your brain and you will say, oh, I can sell this as a service, or I can teach people the same thing. And I mean, we have how many? Over 300 million people in this country. And there's like 8 billion on this planet. Somebody will pay you a little bit to learn from you. I'm pretty sure of that.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's a good very good recommendation. I think many people just wait. Sad to say, but may waste their time in like bars and watching Netflix or whatever. So,
Well, and a lot of people didn't. I mean, I was on the data. I still am on the data and product side, but I didn't have a lot of sales acumen back in the day. Like, oh, I have to sell something. Oh, there's a dollar sign on it. Like that was a learning curve for me. But once you figure out how to do that, I mean, I also in my book, I'm like, how easy is it to make $1 million in revenue? Like it's just simple algebra. 198. One product at $1 million. Two products at $500,000. Like, 10,000 products of $100.
Yeah.
Right? That might take you a few years, but like you could scale. Like it's not wild, and especially digital products online. Wow. What an easy way to stack dollar signs. So again, back to that first $40 or whatever, sell something, have expertise, love pickleball, sell a pickleball course, whatever. This world is multifaceted.
Yeah. What kind of motivation or word of wisdom can you say to people who are really introverts? They're shy. They don't know how to go talk to people. They're like scared of that. Even online, online is relatively easy. And especially with new generations, I think they are just used to chatting with each other, no problem. But still, people can be shy. What can you tell to them? How to break that shyness and go out there, talk to people?
Yeah, well, I will say I am an extrovert. So this is a difference that, my best friend is an introvert and she's like, oh, don't make me do this. I know I keep mentioning my book, but true fact, I have a section in my book for like networking for introverts and people who are like, Joan, I hate networking. I have a lot of tips for how to do that because I believe it's required for modern careers. So, how do you do it? I think what I might recommend overall is like having a goal. Like, why are you going to that event? Like, what is the utility of it? How do you take care of your body and your mind beforehand? Be really quality over quantity. You don't just like show up at the hackathon and like hope good things happen. Like, do the research. Be like, here are the two judges I would love to connect with. They work at these companies. I'm going to go there. I'm going to be prepared. I'm going to ask these people. I'll follow up with them on LinkedIn. I'll celebrate the hackathon. I'll take photos. Like being strategic and knowing your goals and making sure your actions align with your goals. That's what I'd recommend, and not overwhelm yourself with all these details of like cacophony and whatever else. Be really focused about your why and then make sure your actions align.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's like going back to branding, personal branding, right? You have to know your skill, go to the relevant events, and also talk to these people, introduce yourself, which is going to be networking now and things like that. Yeah, it's hard. I was myself at some point like this, especially not knowing English. It's my second language. So it was really, really hard when people talk to me and I don't know what the hell they're talking about. So it was really, back in my college days, it was really interesting. But, it happens. Okay. So almost coming to an end here. And I just want to ask you to give some advice to people in general, maybe something that we haven't discussed yet, and also how people can find you, connect with you, how they can go get this book that you've written, and things like that.
Yeah, well, overall advice that we haven't yet mentioned, I'm like such boring advice over here, but it's to really take care of your mental and physical health during this time. Unfortunately, I see a lot of people who like get laid off. They're crying. You cry, you eat ice cream, go do it, but they don't take care of their mental and physical health after that. And then when they show up to events, they look sad, they look bedraggled. You're like, I don't want to spend time with this person. You have to take care of yourself. I think this is obvious, but keep eating your vegetables. Please work out. If you need to go to therapy, like take care of your body and mind so you can be your best self showing up in this next chapter of your life. So I'm not a medical doctor. I'm the other kind of doctor, but that's a recommendation I'd give for anybody as they do this personal brand, networking, upskill on money kind of flywheel that I'd recommend. If people want to find me online, mostly I'm on LinkedIn. My team has forced me onto Instagram. So if you are on Instagram, come find me there. I have my own podcast, Your AI Roadmap, and the book is the companion to the podcast. My podcast isn't as cool as this one, but you can go find it too. The book can be found at yourairoadmap.com, and you can buy the book there. It actually just came out in audiobook a few days ago. So if you prefer audio version, or ask your library, request that your library buy it for you. But I honestly would recommend the physical version because it has exercises in it that you can write in it. And there are QR codes and things. So it's very actionable. I find that if you don't actually do the work, you won't get the results. So doing that work and reflecting overall. But I think the book right now is like $20 on Amazon. So I would say it would be an excellent investment just for the money section if people haven't done that before.
That's a good one. It's one of those ideas to prepare for crisis, right? Invest in yourself while you have money, while you're earning.
Or even people keep telling me their professional development budget covers nonfiction books. I was like, oh my gosh, make your company pay for it. Yes.
So, yeah. Great. Okay. Thanks, Joan, for your time. It's been a great conversation and a lot of good ideas and suggestions to people to try. So that's great. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.